Okay, so let's just take a quick look at the program. So, intro to EHLS. EHLS is a scholarship program with a focus on professional English communication skills and career skills. The program trains advanced speakers of English to be effective communicators and strong candidates for federal jobs. It's hosted by Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Every scholar admitted to the program receives a full scholarship funded by the federal government. The program is 8 months in length. The first 6 months are full-time on the Georgetown University's downtown campus. The final 2 months are part-time, conducted online. Participants are native speakers of critical languages who have a strong interest in public service. EHLS scholars come from diverse cultural, educational, and professional backgrounds, but they are all united by an interest in and a commitment to public service. So let's take a look at the program background. So why EHLS? EHLS was established because critical language skills are in high demand in the U.S. government. There are other government-sponsored programs to teach critical languages to native English speakers, but this is the only program designed to prepare individuals with native knowledge of critical languages for federal workplace. So a brief background on the organizations and the history of EHLS. EHLS is a partnership among 4 organizations. The Defense Language and National Security Education Office, DELENCIO, provides funding. The Center for Applied Linguistics oversees instruction and coordinates language testing. And that is where Matilda is. Georgetown University provides the instructions. We're the academic portion of the program. That's where I am. The Institute of International Education oversees the application process, and that is where Hillary is. EHLS started in 2006, and 2025 will be our 20th year, and that is just incredible. We're very proud of that. Okay, let's take a look at the scholarship benefits and terms. So the scholarships for the EHLS program are awarded through the Defense Language and National Security Education Office. That is a mouthful, or otherwise known as DELENCIO. You may also see NSEP, NSEP, that is another name for the funder. But the new official name now is DELENCIO. Each scholarship provides full tuition and fees for 8-month academic program, in addition to a living stipend. $3,600 per month during the first 6 months, and $1,200 per month during the last 2 months. For scholars moving out of the DC area, EHLS can reimburse you for relocation costs up to $1,000, but you must keep your receipts. Other benefits, health insurance from Georgetown University, and through the years, everyone says it's very good. And that is for you only, not for your family members, but you can buy for your family members out of pocket. A certificate from Georgetown University upon completion of the program. By the time you're finished with the EHLS program, you will have compiled a beautiful portfolio, a professional portfolio that includes a well-polished resume, writing samples, U.S. government scales for English and heritage language OPI test scores, and a certificate from Georgetown University, which really opens doors. Scholars must agree to the terms that we have outlined here. So full-time attendance and successful completion of the academic program, an agreement not to work during the full-time portion of the program, and that is January to June. Acceptance of a service requirement after completing the academic program. Excuse me. Okay, let's take a look at eligibility. You must be a US citizen at the time of the application when you press that button by, I guess, June 18th. Hopefully you apply earlier, but our deadline is June 18th, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So you must be a US citizen by that time. You must be a native speaker of one of the languages listed here, and you must have professional level proficiency in that language, and we will test you. You must have advanced proficiency in English. Your proficiency in both English and your native language will be formally tested. You must have a college degree, and that is at least a bachelor's degree. You must be able to use the internet, word processing programs, and PowerPoint. You must commit to a full-time program, and that is a daytime program from January to June in Washington, D.C. at Georgetown University's downtown campus. And you must be willing to work for the federal government for 1 year in a position with national security responsibility, and it will be your responsibility to find that position. But we at Georgetown do have a special class where we help you to meet people. And so there is some assistance, but ultimately it is your job search. So national security responsibilities, we'd like you to work for 1 year, but really we want you to make a career of federal work. So now I'm going to pass it to Hillary to tell you about some important dates.
Great. So all the key pieces are listed here. But again, right now the application is open. If you haven't yet started, you can start one right after this webinar. And the website for that is ehlsprogram.org. The website will also have really helpful information, again, recapping the eligibility, the key dates and timeline, and other useful information as you go through the application process. As Maria just mentioned, the deadline to hit submit is June 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Please give yourself the gift of time, folks. Please, we recommend not waiting until, say, 4:59 p.m. on June 18th to hit submit. Put a calendar reminder, go ahead. And just so you know, in terms of after you hit submit, these next dates are some of the key dates in the overall timeline and selection process. After you submit your application between now and June 18th, you're going to get a follow-up email, and that will have instructions for signing up and how to complete an OPI in English. We do need you to do that by July 12th, and you do need to schedule in advance. So again, that's another one. Please don't wait until July 12th to actually begin scheduling. September is the month when we will let folks know via email, always via email, the official notification of application status. In November, that is when the official offers of admission will go out to those who are selected. And the official 2025 program will begin on January 6th next year.
Awesome. Great. So now we're moving on to the Q&A section. And our special guest alumni, I'll stop sharing. And this is where we can have a conversation. Like I said, you can type questions in the Q&A for our guest, for any of us. And I'll prompt the initial conversation and first introduce you to Matilda Rial, who is an EHLS alumni from 2020. Matilda is a naturalized citizen who was born and raised in Sudan and South Sudan. She's fluent in Arabic, the Sudanese dialect. After EHLS, Matilda worked for the Library of Congress, the CDC, as an epidemiologist with the Maryland Department of Health, and she is currently the statewide director of infection control for Yes Care MD. And Matilda is also the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion with the NCEP Alumni Association. So thanks again so much for joining us, Matilda. We're so glad you're here. And yes, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again, Matilda, and it's great to see Mariani, and everyone. As Matilda said, I am Matilda with a T-I-L. She has an H, T-H. So, like Matilda said, I was a 2020 English for Heritage Language Speaker scholar, EHLS for short, at Georgetown. I heard about the opportunity through a word of mouth, a friend. And just to give you a little background, I am originally from South Sudan. I have a medical background, and if you know the history of that region, South Sudan has been in a war with North Sudan for over 50 years. And in 2011, South Sudan has become a nation. And that time I left Sudan and I lived in Egypt for a year as a refugee before coming to the United States. And I've worked in different capacities in the healthcare in the United States. I was working at Hopkins in 2019, where a friend showed me the program, and I looked at it, and I thought that would be a great fit for me to kind of hone my skills and to be able to compete in the federal, the government space. So I did, and I started in January 2020. Unfortunately, we were there in person for 3 years before COVID hit, and so we transitioned like overnight to online. And with the support of EHLS staff, we were able to complete the rest of the course online. I worked with a mentor from the Library of Congress, and I worked on a health project, which is usually they pair you with a mentor that has a topic that kind of matches your background or your language. So I worked on a health project, and after that, I created a great relationship with the mentor from Library of Congress. And after completing the course, I was hired, and that's where I completed my 1 year service requirement. Should I go on, or I can stop for questions?
Yeah, there's actually a question that's very related to your first job, and it was asking about how long it took for you to get started in that first position in the government after EHLS.
That's a great question, and so I will just go a little bit before that. EHLS, like Maria mentioned, it trains you on English proficiency, communication skills, and also there is career development. So all of that helped me to prepare me to work with with my mentor. After working with her, I worked with her as a contractor. So they gave me like a contracting job for a few months, and it wasn't a full time. So it was 10 hours a week, and then it increased to 20 hours. And the most important thing is just building that relationship. And after I think I finished EHLS in August, and I was hired the following January. So I worked with her as a contractor for a few months before I was hired as full time. Thank you.
Amazing. And did those contractor hours, did those count for your service requirement as well? Yes.
It did. Yes.
Good. Yeah, that's good to know. It's kind of a case by case basis, but it's really for fulfilling the service requirement, it's really in close communication with the NCEP team that you can really establish how all these different positions can really count towards fulfilling the requirement. We also have a great question in the chat here for you, Matilda, about how intensive the training was and what was a typical day for you in EHLS.
The training, yes, thank you for the question. That is a very relevant question. The training was very intensive. So you have to prepare yourself for that period where you cannot work, like Maria eloquently said earlier. You're not permitted to work, so you have to dedicate yourself fully to the program, and it is very intensive. We have different subjects. We have writing, we have career development, and we do have also mentor series that come and speak with us about job opportunities. So my typical day starts at 8 in the morning at Georgetown, and we have different classes, public speaking, we have assignments, we have group projects, and honestly, the day ends like 10 p.m. because you still have assignments, you still, especially once you start with the project and doing your research, sometimes you have very little sleep. So if you have family, if you have children, so make arrangements for that so that you can have that time to be able to be successful in this program.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really, really helpful. What aspect of the EHLS program was most helpful for you?
I would say all of the aspects. So it culminates into the professional that you are going to be. You need English writing. You need to be able to write concise and clear. You need a professional communication. You need career development to update your resume. You need to connect with other professionals that are already working in the government to be able to find for a job or stuff like that. So I would say each part is important. For example, for my interview with the Maryland Department of Health, they asked me to put a presentation together, and they asked me to write a concise paper. They gave me a health issue to write about it. So each of and I used almost all of the skills that I was taught to be able to interview for that job. And currently at my work, I do presentations every month. I write policies, update policies. So each section is very important for your career.
Thank you. Yeah, we also have a question about the research skills and experience you had before applying to EHLS.
Yes, that actually, I did have a research skill before applying to EHLS. That is very helpful. However, if you do not have that, EHLS is going to provide that opportunity for you to be able to conduct research.
Amazing. Yeah. And then there's also a question on, were there any additional expenses that you had to cover on your own during the program?
I did not actually. There was not any additional expense. I lived in Washington, D.C. area. I lived in Maryland. I still live in Maryland, which is about 20 minutes from Georgetown on the train. So it wasn't any additional expense on my part. My husband, he always had the insurance policy. So I did not get the insurance, but I know a friend who did get the insurance, and they were very satisfied with that. I did not use any outside resources from the usual. Yes.
Great. And then we have a question about what motivated you to want to pursue a career in the federal government.
So, as I mentioned earlier, I have a medical background, and before coming to the U.S., I pictured myself working for the CDC in health prevention, in public health, and that has been in my mind. That has propelled me, and I like community service, even with the research that I did in Sudan. Previously, it was on the public health and health prevention for women and children. So when I saw the opportunity, I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity that I can take. And I've also been, before EHLS, I have been applying to CDC, to other health departments without being successful, which means without even being asked to come for a screening interview. And after EHLS, with updating my resume, I had screening interviews. I went on interviews with the FDA, with the CDC, with other organizations. And at the end of the day, also, I probably had like a narrow vision. With EHLS, it kind of broadens your vision. There are other opportunities out there that you can take advantage of. So, yeah, that was why I immediately jumped on the opportunity. Thank you.
That's a really good point. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the NCEP Alumni Association, because I know you were pretty involved, and that's a cool benefit of being an alumni of EHLS.
Yes. So I every year once you start the program, the NCEP Alumni Association do a presentation to the new cohort, and once the opportunity was presented to me, I connected with the Alumni Association, and I became part of it at the end of 2020 as director of diversity and inclusion. We did a lot of advocacy for EHLS. EHLS was because they have other like Boren fellows and scholars. It's the U.S. citizens going abroad to learn the language, opposed to us, like Maria explained, we are naturalized citizens, which means we already have a language and we also have English. And so it wasn't popular before. EHLS wasn't popular in that community. So after that, we did do great work with the Alumni Association to advocate for EHLS scholars and others who are not spotlighted previously.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And then I'm sure some of our attendees on this Zoom are getting started or in the process of their application. So one step of that of the application is the language assessments. Do you have any tips on how to prepare for the language assessments?
Absolutely. That's a great question. First of all, if you have like sessions like this, I know I attended a session at Georgetown in person in 2019, and it was Maria Mariani who was doing the presentation. And from that point, I ask questions, and they give you resources. And please do follow those resources. So there are resources out there for how to get ready for these tests. I know sometimes we think, oh, I am fluent. For example, me, I'm fluent in Arabic, I'm okay. But then if you are talking about technical terms, you got to be very proficient. So I go on YouTube and look for news on my on Arabic news on different topics, and I also rehearse. So, for example, if there's any question, I will rehearse on how to respond to that question, and these were very helpful during the proficiency testing. So you have to prepare for it.
Absolutely. And then do you have any tips on maybe the essay component of the application?
Yes, absolutely. So the essay, I know there are 5 essays, and make sure that you are answering that question. If they ask you for the language that you have used previously to resolve an issue, make sure you're answering that particular point, and make sure you keep the number of words. I think it's 500 words that you need to respond, and have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So that it is clear, and don't rush when you're doing your essays. Take your time. So right now is a good time to start, sleep over it, go over it, and make sure that it's understandable to the reader. So that's my my suggestion on that.
That's great advice. And then another component of the application is the recommendations. So we require one now, but we recommend 2. Any tips on how that went for you, that process?
Yes, and it boils down to having professional relationships. I think we had like maybe 3 reference letters. So speak to the referees beforehand. You can even send them like maybe a write-up about the program, so that they can understand what they are writing for, and the type of skills that is needed for that. Usually, if you have a good relationship with, I used a professor, one of my professors, and one of my coworkers. So if you let them know beforehand, so that they can be able to send the application, because there's a deadline for that as well. So use your professional network to help you with that. Thank you.
Yeah, and you kind of answered. We had a question in the chat of, do the recommendation letters need to include the 5 selection criteria? And like you said, I think sending some information over to your reference, letting them know about the criteria, like you said, the skills that are needed for the program and about the program, is good. I mean, I don't think the reference needs to like explicitly list the criteria or be that specific, but I think just the more your reference knows about what's gonna matter to who reads the letter.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any additional tips on the application process?
My tips is for you to take every resource and look into it. You will find an advice that will help you. Keep an open mind. Apply. Get your paperwork ready on time beforehand, so that you can review it. Good to review, and keep an open mind. Apply. If it doesn't work this year, try again next year. You never know. I know that some people applied for twice before they were able to get in, and just be positive and follow all the points. Make sure that you are answering all the bullet points that are the eligibility and the criteria.
Yeah, that's great advice. again, our audience, if you want to raise your hand or use the Q&A, this is your space to ask any of us any questions. Maria, Hillary, do you have any questions?
Matilda, I wonder if you can share with everyone, was there anything that surprised you about the EHLS program or your experience there?
That's a great question. Yes, I consider myself. I studied. I went to English school from kindergarten, and I consider myself very fluent in English. And yeah, but then there are some writing styles, and there's sometimes like some grammatical language that we get used to it. It doesn't have it might not be the right way to do things, but as we grow and we get used to saying things certain way. So that English, and I thought, why do I need an English reading and writing? I don't need that. But it was very helpful, and also the writing style. I am used to a different writing style, and the government, they have a particular writing style that they want to see, and that's what was surprising to me in the program. Yes.
I have a question, Matilda. Well, given that you were one of our stars, okay, so in the program, because she really was. I mean, she came in with really great language. When I first met you, I'm like, you are the perfect candidate. You need to apply. Given that you came in with, very strong English, which course do you think you benefited from the most?
Thank you, Maria. I think I benefited the most from career development and public speaking. That's where I benefited most.
Can you talk a little bit about what went on in both those classes? Just a little snippet. Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, my resume, I had my resume. If you read it, it's very nice. It's polished. It's professional. But there is a certain way that the government is looking for, especially if you're applying for a government position. There's a certain way that the resume has to look like. Otherwise, you will not even be considered as an applicant. So that's first. And second, public speaking. I'm not the best public speaker, and I think the communication classes were very helpful. It taught me how to speak publicly, how to get attention of the audience. A lot of people speak sometimes, but they lose you. You can easily be lost. But it teaches us how to capture the attention and then keep people engaged while you're speaking. Thank you.
Amazing. I'll take this opportunity, and again, please ask any questions. I will just make quick final announcements from our slides. So follow us on social media. We announced in-person events that Matilda said was really valuable as she was applying. You can meet with us in person and talk with us, and I think hearing other people's questions is always good because you'll always hear something that's helpful. And here are our upcoming virtual events, and we have a webinar where we'll cover some detailed information about the EHLS program, so the general information webinar. And then on the 29th, we have a what to expect during and after EHLS, where you'll hear from Georgetown University and our funder Delencio about the detailed schedule at the everything during the program, the details about every class, about the schedule. and then detail about after, so the service requirement, and that's a lot of valuable information as well. So make sure you sign up for those or watch our recordings as well. And then here's our email addresses if you have any questions or numbers. If you have questions on the curriculum, schedule, Georgetown facilities, you can contact Maria Mariani. If you have any questions on the language testing, you can contact me, Matilda, to schedule your OPI, any questions like that. And Hillary's colleague Meredith, you can contact her for any questions on the application system. If you have questions about transcripts, resumes, things that may come up when you're in the portal and you just want to do everything right. IIE is very helpful in guiding you through that. So yeah, those were our last little announcements that I wanted to make before we end the webinar. Again, we have a few minutes, so if you have more questions or want to raise your hand, feel free. Oh, we have a raised hand. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Hi, Manoj.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
How are you?
Good.
All right. I am super excited. I hear, and I don't want to say I'm jealous from Matilda, but I am. So I am excited for the program. I have a quick question regarding the testing. I'm already certified as an ACTFL. I have the certificate in Arabic and English, and it's Arabic also. I'm from Egypt. Do I need to be recertified? I have the Arabic, I have superior, and in English, I have advanced. Do you need to be recertified? And is it the same format of testing? Thank you.
So it typically is a different format because it's a different scale. So I believe you have to take the test again. But I was in contact with someone who was in your situation and said they contacted ACTFL and were in conversation with them about kind of reissuing the certificate from the ACTFL scale to the OPI scale. And they were saying if they do that, basically you lose it becomes OPI and you can't use it as superior or the ACTFL scale anymore. That's a conversation you can have with ACTFL if they're willing to do that. I'm not sure how easy it is and how much they're willing to do that. But otherwise we wouldn't accept anything on the ACTFL scale, so you could take the OPI again with us as well.
Okay.
Also, how old are your tests? Because they are time bound.
Yes, they are. I think they expired 2020.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so then you would need to take them again.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to.
you have to take them again.
Yeah.
Okay. I had the equivalent with ILR. This is how I heard about the program. Maria sent an email in the ILR email list. Yeah, so I follow their emails and all the opportunities they post. So I have it converted when it was the ILR, but they don't give you the right. It doesn't show superior. They said the max they can do is 2, which superior should be higher than 2, but this is the max they can do for a conversion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
a good opportunity to take it again, and then, that'll be valid for 2 more years after that. And
If
it's
it was
very valuable.
2020, they're expired anyway, so you have to take them again.
I'll take it with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be. I'm working on the application now I'm listening to you. I'm motivated to work on my application. So
Great.
I'm working on it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
اهلا وسهلا منال، ازيك؟
أهلا
كويسة؟
بيكي.
اهلا.
الحمد لله.
الحمد لله.
انت يعني شجعتيني قوي، مش عارفه اقول لك يعني you're an inspiration.
Thank you. شكرا.
يعني انا عارفه الاوضاع في جنوب السودان، فانت يعني it's a miracle where you are. انا يعني شايفه ان انت طبعا اشتغلتي جامد عشان توصلي للي انت فيه.
طبعا شكرا. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We love to see it. Yeah, like I said, please feel free to raise your hand. I think Gracia has a question. Let's see.
I'm so glad the ILR listserv worked. So I know that it got to people. Thanks for telling us.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's really inspiring and encouraging. Thank you so much. I have a question about the cultural, in one of the essay question asking about the cultural knowledge in my workspace, in my workplace, but I didn't use my own culture in my workplace. So how do I answer this essay question?
Maria, Matilda, do you have any tips for that?
I would, and then Matilda, maybe you have even more to add to this. I would say if you do not use your language, of course you know your culture, and of course you know the difference between what would be appropriate in your culture and what is appropriate in US culture. So maybe you could change the gist of how you would answer that question by saying, you know, I don't use my language in my workspace, but I am culturally aware of differences and I make sure that I am appropriate in every way, et cetera,
Oh,
et
okay.
cetera, et cetera.
I see, I see. So it's basically about cross-cultural understanding and communication. It's not necessarily I have to use my native
Well,
culture in my.
they're asking that question, but if you don't have that experience, I mean, tell us in your answer that you do not use your language in your workplace, but you are aware of other things that
Uh-huh.
are cultural to you
Got it.
and to the people you work with, your work group. That's my suggestion. Maybe Matilda or Hillary or the other Matilda have other suggestions.
Yeah,
And
I think I
good to see
agree.
you
I
again,
agree.
Garcia. It was nice
Yeah,
to meet you
thank you.
again.
Yes. I'm working hard on my essays.
Good. I'm so happy. Yes.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Maria said. And sometimes, maybe just think about it. Sometimes you could be doing it subconsciously. Some cultural differences, the way you would approach people, the way you will look in their eyes, the way, you know,
Mhm.
it's very nuanced thing. So just maybe think about it. And if you really don't have any, just what Maria suggested would be great. Just let them know you didn't have an experience, but this is what would have happened
Mhm.
in your culture. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
And we have a question from Iman. Let's see.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Hi.
I attended twice. Maria knows me if she sees me. This is the third time I'm attending. I'm really interested in this program. I applied 2 times, and unfortunately, I was not successful. So this will be my last time applying, and I hope to get enrolled. So Matilda encouraged me. She said, well, there are already people who applied 2 times, and then they get accepted on the third time. So I'm trying for the third time, and I hope I'll be accepted this time. And thank you so much. You really encouraged me. I will go ahead and submit my application, and I'll just keep positive, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes, I think, yes, be positive, apply again, and just go over your two previous applications. I know it's time consuming, but just see what could have been missed and make sure
Yeah,
that it's on this application this time.
yeah. I just wish if I knew if there is a way to know what did I miss, what did I do wrong, so that I can avoid it and try to do my best. But unfortunately, in the letter that they send, they just don't. I mean, they just say you are sorry, you're not accepted this time. There is no explanation of whatever I did wrong or what do I need to improve on. So it's
And
hard to know.
yes, and Maria can explain more. I'm not sure about the selections, but then sometimes languages, you know, that are being that are needed in these workplaces determines that, and also sometimes the essays also determine that. I'll refer to Maria.
So it's 5 essays on different topics. I don't remember. It has been a long time that I applied. I mean, I stopped for 2 years, and now I'm back again. I don't remember what was the essays about. What is it? Different topics, and what do they look exactly in the application that needs?
Well, you could take a look on go to the application and you can see exactly what they're asking. And I think we spoke a little bit about this, and I said If you were not preliminarily selected, then I would revamp all of your essays.
And the recommendation and
And the recommendations should be maybe, if you have new people to ask, fine, or maybe you should inform your referee a little bit more about why this is a program that is a good fit for you. Tell them about the program. Like Matilda said, send them information about the program, or as I mentioned to you, send them to our website.
Okay. Thank you so much.
yeah, I think the selection criteria that are on our website are really a really good place to start, especially if you've applied again, because it can help answer your question of like, what did I do wrong? It's like, of course, you know, there can be like a specific answer to your specific application, and but this is a really good place to see where you could improve and what the panel reviewers look at.
Okay. Thank you so much.
See if I have a link to the selection criteria. I think it's always a good place to start. Yeah, okay. So at this link that I'll put in the chat, you'll see the selection criteria. Yeah, so the more you know about the program, the more successful your application will be. So like you said, it's been 2 years. Maybe it's good to like brush up on it a little bit.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you, Matilda, for all your insight and motivating our applicants and inspiring the new generation. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you at our next webinar, Q&A, in-person event. And yes,
We look forward to your
submit.
application.
We look forward to your application.
Thank you so
All
much.
the best.
Thanks,
Thank
Matilda
you.
R.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Uh-huh.
Good
Bye.
luck, everyone.
Bye.